Ah,
If anyone out there can recover our MySpace password,
I feel like
free game day hoodie.
I feel like the people who heard that on Facebook Live probably are feeling the same pain. They also can't find their MySpace password. This is very exciting though, because pretty soon here, once we're settled in, we're going to be dropping all the goods, what everyone wants to know about. I love that. I love that we're gonna find out. So what's the over under after we really announce it? Or the over under for the first comment wanting to know why we aren't going someplace else.
Oh, the comment's already going to be there.
It's gonna be sitting there waiting for us. Why?
Yeah. I think we're going to make some people happy, though.
I hope so. I mean, I think the amount of time and effort that went into choosing the schedule was. I mean, I certainly don't feel like there was any laying down on the job. I think we put in our due diligence to try to put this thing together, leaving some flexibility too, right? So it's not even.
We can't make everybody happy, but the most important person is me. To me, so as long as I'm happy, we're okay, right?
It's funny you say that, because in my life, I've operated under the principle that what makes me happy is number one. But in the game day world, yes, you are absolutely correct. It is whatever makes Peter happy. And yeah, I don't actually know if MySpace is still a thing. I joked about it because I actually can say I never had a MySpace. I was never on MySpace. So I don't really have there's no recovery password for me.
No, I 100% had a MySpace.
But I've also never had a LinkedIn, even though I should. So there's probably, in theory, I've had both, but I've had neither. So.
We'll do our live show on MySpace and LinkedIn exclusively next week.
So again, as we go through the schedule, we're definitely going to want to hear from all of you regarding how we did. But tell us where you wish we had gone, or tell us what you think we should be covering. But we did put a lot of effort into this, and so I'm going to remind people again as we're getting set up here that the criteria for where we go starts with, is it technologically possible to do it from that place? And the answer is not yes for all of them. So before you rush to judgment on why didn't you go there, there's the possibility that we couldn't actually broadcast from there. And then please keep in mind that I'm a delicate and fragile person. So if the technology's there, but it requires me to sit outside in the bleachers in December, it's less appealing to me to do that than if I'm in a nice, warm, cozy press box.
So I personally don't care about your comfort.
I know you don't.
But if I have to sit outside with all of this and all the other gear, that's going to be a no for me.
Yeah, so the reality is, in Peter's world, the equipment might not function well, and the equipment doesn't like the frigid temperatures or rain outside either. So
if the equipment is sad and Casey is sad, that is a bad broadcast.
That's right. That's two. So we'll do that. So yeah, technology, logistics, and then the next two big criteria are what we think you want to watch, coupled with who might you watch that otherwise wouldn't get watched, because we do like to make sure, and as we go through the schedule, I'll bring up a couple of opportunities that we have to give some run to some people who maybe don't otherwise have some. So without further ado, should we launch into where game day will be week 1, Friday, September 12th? An absolute no-brainer. We will be at Killingly High School.
So I get the sense that Chad Neal and the Killingly Trailblazers will play anyone, anywhere. And they have run out of teams in Connecticut. So who are you going to call but the 18-time Rhode Island state champion, Bishop Hendricken?
There's so much to like. If anyone's wondering why, this is such a no-brainer. First of all, you've got the premier team in the state, and I'm talking Bishop Hendricken. 16 consecutive finals. That's like old school Ansonia on, times 2. And Killingly debuting a new mascot. So all the mascot turmoil in Killingly. Now we've got the Trailblazers. We get to see the new Killingly Trailblazers take the field as defending state champions against another state champion. I mean, this to me is a no-brainer.
And they're all back.
Yeah,
about.
If you thought you were tired of seeing, the Allards and you were tired of Quinn Sumner throwing it, like, they're all back.
Like, last year was the building year.
Yeah, and they won a state championship.
And they won a state championship. I think they graduated 2 or 3 starters. So, yeah, go down the list of names. Basically, everybody who touched the ball last year. Hayden Allard, Hunter Allard, Quinn Sumner, Peyton Wallace, Aiden Lamott, big Tyler Smith on the line.
And that's going to be a theme of these games. When you look at the forecast in the ECC, everyone always looks at the skill guys. And the thing about Killingly is they've had an exceptional, we always used to look to the XR Julii. The brothers XR Julius and the linemen of Killingly is, if you're going to do that RPO, run people over, that's where it starts. So replacing a couple of linemen, if there's going to be a chink early in the armor of Killingly, it might be replacing some of the line. But you're certainly going to get one of the best running backs in the state with Hayden Allard.
Yeah, and they're maybe replacing 1 or 2 guys on the line, but the rest of them are back, and they've all been in the barn all winter. I saw a photo of Killingly from the passing league, and they're all in the cutoff T-shirts, and it looked like Muscle Beach.
Yeah, and also they've been playing together in the same system since they were starting football. So yeah, it's an easier switch for them. But Hendrickson's going to come in. Hendrickson's going to come in with a really good running back, Jeremy Dennis. When you get to 16, that's 5 generations of players, which means there is no such thing as rebuilding, right? They reload every year. They have that same thing in Rhode Island that Killingly has here. Next generation of kids. So I think it's a great first test in week 1 for Killingly. Now, there's some other great games, right? So week 1 is the Alliance week. So there's great games week 1, and we often use it as a measuring stick for where the ECC is compared to the rest of the state. And for example, there's games where we're going to see our teams that we think might be pretty good against other teams in the state, and you never know. Week 1 is always very interesting, and we will definitely 100% overreact to what happens in week 1.
Definitely. And to answer one of the questions from the chat, yes, this is football. Most of the games you see on the schedule for the regular season are going to be football games. We will see some other sports when it comes to ECC championship time.
Yeah, so when we talk about the schedule here in the first few weeks, it's football, and we will tell you when it's not football. When it's something other, we will get into that, because there will be at least 4 other sports covered in one way or the other, and we'll make mention of those as we go through the schedule. And
if you've got a team or a sport that you are not seeing on the schedule and you want to get them on game day, send your clips to the Grade 8.
100%. That's a surefire way to get a little run here on Game Day.
All right, so shall we move on to week 2?
Week 2, and this is a interesting one to me, because this is a team that I think we're talking about who can challenge Killingly, right? So you want to know who's next. We always have those groups of teams. Well, among the who's next will be the Waterford High School Lancers, and they will be heading on the road to a very tough place to play over the bridge into Stonington, which means, by the way, make sure you keep 4 hours to get home after that game because of the road work that's going on the bridge area. But Waterford at Stonington, to me, is very interesting. Now, Stonington has been a very explosive team over the last few years, but they've lost some big-time seniors, including Game Day favorite Patrick McGugan, but they are going to be replacing them with some great athletes. They've got some guys like Gabe Torwella, Max De La Rosa, guys who have had some experience and are stars in other sports as well. You know that they're going to be well coached. AJ is an outstanding coach, Massengale, but Waterford is the talk here.
And just one more point on Stonington. I went back and watched some of our film from last year, and all ECC linemen, Ethan Green, we don't always call the linemen's names all the time. He was all over the place, picking up blocks, running down guys on defense. So we're gonna talk about some skill guys this year, but there's a lot of linemen that we are really excited to see. And that brings us to Waterford. And I feel like the last couple of seasons when we talked about Waterford, we would say, well, we know they got the quarterback and we know they got the skill guys, but the question mark is going to be the line. No questions, or not many questions, about Waterford's line this year, bringing back a lot of guys.
Yeah, so Waterford is my most fascinating team, and that's part of the reason why. Yes, replacing Jax Higgins, that's a generational talent at Waterford. In the pantheon of Waterford football players, Jax Higgins will be talked about. And they're losing their coach. And Zeth Nolda had built a really good program there. So now you've got Hill Bunley in as coach, a whole new staff coming from some local places. And you start, if you're going to build a team, you start with that line. They've got all the line coming back. And this is a personal direct shout out to Donato Barnhill, because last year you figured it out about midseason, in the second half of the year, we're as dominant a lineman as we've seen. If you come out this year, young man, and anchor what could be an exceptional line, Captain A.K. Wilson on that line as well, if you come out and anchor that thing, you guys could be exceptional. You have some transfers from in-state, out-of-state that are contributing, and then challenge number 2 goes to Parker Spencer, because Parker Spencer has been in multiple sports the talented player. Now he needs to assume some of the leadership role that they lose with Higgins. If your best players like Barnhill and Spencer can step up and lead in addition to perform, I think the Waterford team has a lot of interesting parts to it.
Yeah, and we saw guys like Gabe Van Overloop and Omar Hernandez make some key contributions in big games last year. And so having that many guys, it's tough with a new coach and a new quarterback, but having that many guys with game experience is going to be a big benefit for the Lancers. You
always ask when you have a new coach, like, what's the system going to be? Or is it going to be the same type of system? So we saw over the past few years, how Waterford ran their offense. Now you're talking about a new quarterback coming in, whoever that might be, but you've got a line. So you'd think, in theory, running the ball is something, and they've got guys who can do that, might be early the staple, right? Until we kind of figure out the detailed parts of the offense. So Waterford, fascinating to me. On the road, week 2, off of a tough week 1 with Sheehan. Like, they have a chance here in week 2 to sort of set the tone for their ECC schedule. So that game, definitely fascinating for me.
All right, on to week 3.
On to week 3, where we will venture out of the ECC and we will head up to Mike DeMoro's alma mater of Xavier, where NFA will go on the road at Xavier. Now, over the past decade, NFA led the charge for out-of-conference schedules, going back to Jamal Davis and then to Coach Bakulis, and to now that they are playing, because of the size of the school, they are always played teams that we don't ever see. The New Canaans, the Massacks. We don't normally see those teams. Cheshire. Now it's Xavier. Xavier's become a part of NFA's schedule. Xavier is in a rebuild mode, they say, though I would argue again, a rebuild for Xavier is not the same as for other schools.
When you've got the championship pedigree and the championship coach coming back in Sean Marinan, it's going to be, it might be not a great year from Xavier's historical perspective. They are always a team that's going to be tough, and you can't count them out. I am excited about this NFA team. I think they're going to surprise some people. They were 4-6 last year, but I think 2 games that they lost by 1 or 2 points, won 2 out of their last 3 or 3 out of their last 4. It was a new coach. They got beat up a little bit outside the ECC and then came back and had some really good ECC games.
Yeah.
Cameron Bell Snow, one of the biggest linemen, only a sophomore last year. So coming back this year as a junior with two of our other favorites in Josiah Success and McKeel Strong. So when you've got big Campbell Snow and you're strong on one side and Success on the other, it writes itself.
I mean, Strong and Success. I can't think of any better names. I think that last year after we talked with Dylan Schroth, I felt the one thing we agreed on is he's got it going in the right direction. Might not be this year, might not be, it might take a little bit, but that team's going in the right direction. And he's got a plan. And he's got a scheme or a sort of a program mentality that he wants to get there. Every year, there is no team with more expectations on them than NFA, right? Every year, everyone assumes NFA should run roughshod over the league. You're the biggest school. You draw from the most places. You should always be good. There's a reason why NFA has those expectations, and I think they're leaning into those and embracing those now. 16 returning starters. The quarterback position is up for grabs. I always kind of keep my eyes when I see a quarterback battle because it can either ignite a team or it can derail a team depending on how it goes and what direction it goes. And right now there's a quarterback, competition underway. But Xavier's not going to be easy in any week. With a coach that's won 5 state championships back there, he's going to want to get them right back into that mold. So that should be a real good one. NFA at Xavier in week 3. Well, moving on to week 4, we get to venture into a couple of teams that I think are going to be talked about differently, but maybe we should draw the comparison to them. East Lyme also had a new coach, and now he's in season 2. And now they have an opportunity to build on Tom Klein's vision of last year. They've got a quarterback that's back, and maybe I could say the best quarterback to the best returning quarterback receiver tandem. You could argue Jacob Garrow and downtown Jaden Brown.
Yeah, Jaden Brown was a highlight reel every week, so I'm excited to see that. Plus 4 linemen coming back also, so a lot of pieces for a team that was forgivably a little underwhelming. New coach, some new people. I think East Lyme, similar to NFA, could surprise some people.
I agree. I wanted to call him Hollywood Brown last year because he made such spectacular plays, but he ended up becoming downtown for me because he would just take it to the house every chance you gave him. Don't confuse him with any other wide receiver in the league. He is really talented at a variety of things. He runs good routes. He's got good hands. He's got good speed. When you got a combo like that, very dangerous. East Lyme's a team to keep an eye on.
Now, if that's one of the best passing combos,
correct.
One of the best, if not the best, backfield combos you're going to see in Fitch with Porter Carter and Devin Cook.
Devin Cook, who was your vote for the best of player of that season. He was the fall athlete of the year by your votes for the best of awards, and he's back. That's a dynamic 1-2 punch. Bussy's back as well. New quarterback in El Corey, but some size at the quarterback position, which if you look at the last 10 years of Fitch quarterbacks, they have not had a kid this size under center in a number of years. I mean, we go back to the sort of diminutive running back playing quarterback. El Corey seems to have the size to do a little more, but Mike Ellis is just a great coach. Aside from being a great person, a great human being, there's no better person out there than Mike Ellis, but his numbers speak for themselves. I mean, what did we say? We got him at 60-32. I mean, that's a really good record when you're playing at the top of the ECC. I think for them, they're going to have to overcome maybe some transitions in the line. They've lost a couple of their linemen, college lineman style, but there's probably no better group of skill position players.
And they run a really tough system, hard to defend. that offense. You might not see them throw the ball. You might see them run at you in a different direction 20 times and then surprise you with a pass. So always a challenge for our camera operators, but always a lot of fun to watch.
First of all, challenge for your play-by-play broadcaster. Fitch has also debuted some uniforms that aren't the easiest to see, but there have been more than a couple of occasions where I've got, looking at the pitch out to the wing back, and Devin Cook, the fullback, is 15 yards upfield already, and Peter's in my ear going, you're following the wrong person right now. So they're tough on all people.
All right, so week 5.
Week 5, we get to go in and take a look at another new team that we haven't seen yet. We get to go check out the Ledyard Colonels. Now, they'll be home. They'll be hosting Waterford, so we'll get a chance to see Waterford a little deeper into their schedule. But Ledyard last year had probably one of the most interesting and successful years that wasn't predicted. And give Mike Circhio all the credit in the world. 2 years ago, when he, mid-game, completely changed their offense, last year he turned it over to A.J. Adamick, and they were unstoppable by running this, and they ran the same thing. And all week long, teams would prepare and could not stop an offense where, is there anything more frustrating than knowing exactly what's coming and not being able to stop it? There's no mystery there. Now, he's got to replace Adamick and some linemen, but now I think he's got guys in their senior years that have been in the system with him for a couple of years. And, Cal Casavant's a very good athlete, very good player. Titus Streckfus, how many more are there? Yes, the next Streckfus stepping up to play quarterback there. And Jackson Grimm is one of the absolute, when you're out there to use your part, he's a dog. Both sides of the ball, there's no tougher player than Jackson Grimm.
No, and that's exciting when we get to see some of those guys who just don't ever come off the field. And that is, for Ledyard, a necessity sometimes with a small school and a small team. And they kind of take that and make that their identity, and really fun to watch.
So this is my chance to show you how little I know, right? So I mentioned MySpace before, but now remember, like, subscribe, follow, whatever this particular format you're on, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, make sure that you're liking, subscribing, following. Make sure you're at GameDay CT for all. Don't just come and watch, right? Click the heart, click the thumbs up, comment, get involved, become a part of what we talk about here at GameDay.
All right, so if there is one school that I hear from every year, when are you going to come see us? When are you coming to our place? When are you coming to our place?
Survey says Griswold.
So, Griswold, we are coming to Griswold.
Week 6, and here's my chance to talk a little bit with familiarity about this game, and I'm going to tie a couple different things together. You mentioned Fitch and how difficult their offense is. So, and they lost a college lineman. Bacon Academy last year started to put things together, and their game with Griswold at Bacon was one of the best games all year long. It was a one-score game. It went back and forth. It was brilliant with all of Griswold's firepower. Now, Bacon's got a new coach. Coach Ladiga has replaced Coach Chafin there, but they bring back the quarterback. They bring back some skill guys. They are also replacing 2 big-time linemen, including a 3-year center. Shout out to the junior voice of Game Day, A.J. O'Neill. 3-year centers are hard to replace. And they run a triple option through Chafin. So the question's going to be, will Riddick Burrows and Lucian Dean and those skill guys, will they be running that same offense? So Fitch's best lineman and Bacon Academy's best lineman are both at Westfield State, having run 2 different versions of the triple option. And what's interesting is that Bacon's triple option and Fitch's triple option don't look the same, but they have a lot of the same principles to them. So the question here is, does Bacon run that same offense that these kids know? Does Coach Ladiga put in something different? He's got the quarterback coming back. He's got some linemen coming back, along with Julian Dean and Lucian Dean. Griswold is bringing back a lot. Last year, that triple monster of Mills and Cutter and Waters it was so difficult to stop. They were all juniors, so can you imagine what the embarrassment of riches in Griswold?
Yeah. So if you watched the grade 8, you have seen some Aiden Cutter highlights. You have seen some Nick Cool Waters highlights, and expect to see him again. I mean, those guys, they're not going anywhere. They've been working out. Aiden Cutter, I've seen your reels on Instagram from the passing league. A lot of things to be excited about in Griswold.
Yeah, and great program there, and they have been sort of consistently good over the past few years. Actually, longer than the past few years. I mean, Griswold goes to state championship games going back decades. So Griswold is kind of like that consistent small school that's always good. This year, I think as well. I think the success on the basketball court. We talk about that all the time, how football, basketball, how sports can feed into each other. And we've seen it with schools where their football team will have a great year and then their basketball team will elevate. I think the success of some of these guys that play basketball, football, I think they go hand in hand with each other. And
it's part of the fabric of the community also. They've got a great youth program, and some of the girls' sports have been doing great. Griswold over the last couple of years in volleyball and softball. The community comes out to all those games and really supports it. There was not a better home venue last winter than Griswold basketball, boys or girls.
Agreed.
And so when the community comes out and supports athletics at all levels, it pays off and it sort of breeds success year after year.
Now, there's an irony here. You talk about Griswold being the school that asks, when you coming to us, when you coming to us. There has been no, on a personal side, no school asking, why aren't you doing more of us than Bacon Academy? They're saying you can't even do a game. Bacon's an example of a place where we unfortunately can't do from Bacon. We can only do them on the road. And we made a point this year to make sure we got them on the schedule. And that's earned from the fact that they had some really competitive games last year, and the Griswold won. This is a perfect opportunity to get there and see two teams that had a great game last year. Both, I think, have high expectations this year, so that's a great opportunity. And now that takes us out of the sort of football schedule.
So week 7 is going to be game day's bye week.
Yes, we're off.
We're going to take the week off because week 8...
Championship week starts in the ECC week 8, and this is where we get out, and you talked about other sports, right? So this is your boys soccer, your girls soccer, and your girls volleyball finals. That's 6 games, all live streamed, all, it's championship week in the ECC. So this is where the Division I, Division II, in each of these 3 different sports, we get an opportunity to turn it over. The great Colin Delaney will come in and provide the expert commentary on soccer. Madison Canestrari will come in and provide the outstanding commentary in volleyball. And then we kind of take a break from football to give the attention to those other sports. Now, in addition to that, since we're talking about championships, there will be not live coverage, but you will be able to get highlights from cross country and swimming in one capacity or the other. So if you've looked at how we've done it, there's always a highlight package for cross country complete with interviews. There's always a highlight package from swimming complete with interviews. And I bring that up because they are a part of the championships that we cover in the ECC, though they aren't necessarily in championship week, which goes soccer, and volleyball.
No, but if you follow Game Day CT on all of our platforms, you should see in one form or another highlights, interviews from all of the ECC champions in just about every fall sport.
And so that is getting us through our bye week and our championship week, which means we turn the page. Halloween comes. All of the people are dressing up. The candy. I got mine. Perfect segue. I don't have a licensing for this, so I'm not gonna. But now we turn the clock into November.
And so in November, we are going to keep a bunch of the weeks flexible. So
unlike this rapper, which I can't. Hold on, this is really bothering me, Peter. I can't seem to.
We're gonna look at this calendar and see a notable omission.
Yeah. As we head into November, we have talked about not locking ourselves into a game, but allowing the possibility, darn you, Candy, allowing the possibility for choices. So where are we going to go in the week after the championship week?
So some options. We may go see West Haven at Fitch. We may go see Griswold at Stonington. There may be another game out there that we didn't think of.
That's right.
That all of a sudden we're going to say, hey, these are a couple of the teams in the mix that we either haven't seen or we need to go back and revisit.
I mean, West Haven's been in the last two finals. They played in two straight state championship games. They have a new coach, so they're replacing people all over the place. West Haven is a traditionally good team, but if they're having a down year, for example, and the Fitch West Haven game doesn't have the same zing, maybe Stonington is much better than we anticipated, and maybe they and Griswold are on a collision course, and that game, or maybe there's a game that week that, like we said, we haven't thought of that we didn't see, or two teams that are better than we thought emerging, whatever it is, that's a flex week. We're going to find the best game. When I say the best game, again, that does not necessarily mean the game with the team with two best records. It might be the game that's the best game. It might be 2 4-4 teams who look like they might have a great game between them, but we're going to find the best game we can find.
And similar the following week, Fitch and New London, always a great rivalry. New London, new head coach, a lot of new players. K1 Gonzalez Jr. taking over at quarterback, or sophomore taking over at quarterback. Excuse me.
So people might, knowing, on a daily basis, I have my Whaler card threatened to be revoked from my peeps in Whalerville. Why hasn't New London? Why aren't the Whalers there? If you think that there's going to be a game day season that goes by without New London being on it, then you just haven't paid attention for the last 15 years. We are always committed. New London's a staple school. The question is where, right? Where does the New London game come? So, New London, new coach, Marquise Ruffin, they've got a whole, new staff on board, and they are, trying to take over a team that has been in a bit of flux, was building in the right direction. Now they have to take it over again. They're very young. So that game with Fitch, obviously, huge rivalry, former Thanksgiving Day game. That seems like an obvious choice, and it might be the choice. But, for example, Waterford and Killingly have played in 3 of the last 5 state playoffs. That is a game that could end up being, maybe Waterford is the threat to Killingly. Maybe that game is between two teams that are undefeated or with one loss. We want to reserve the right to bring you that game as well. But New London Fitch is always a signature game on the schedule.
Yeah, so we'll keep an eye on those games in November. One game we are going to put on the calendar in November at I'm told, beautiful new turf facility.
This one I'm excited about. We're going to have to get to the Wolves. We're going to see the Wolves howl. Montville High School is going to host a game because the turf is just unbelievable. Wait till you see. Now Waterford's got new turf as well. New London's had improvements. A lot of the places, but the turf at Montville, Tim Dilwig, AD, and the rest of the people there know they hit a home run with this one. The facilities look great. And we're going to have Wyndham coming into Montville. Wyndham we have talked about this at length. I'm never going to say Wyndham. I'm never going to rule Wyndham out because every year they continue to be a team that surprises people. It's tough when you lose, guys like Malachi Fowler, right, who have been 4-year starters and all-state players. But the quarterback is back, Francisco Alvarado, who's had a taste of postseason play. Kevon Roberts is back.
And let's not forget, Francisco Alvarado, all ECC on defense,
That's
along with Troy Torres-Mori.
Which might be, by the way, how this Wyndham team competes. We saw last year over the past couple seasons, their defense was so good. And they were like, if they could find a way to score some points, right? This might be another year where they just rely on the defense, where they have guys coming back. But never sleep on Wyndham. They are a program, right? Teams come and go, programs stick around, and they are a program. That Montville team, though, also, they have taken their lumps, but they got 12 returning starters, including an all-conference lineman, Dimitri Charles, who's a great young lineman, and Chase Malburn, who you're used to seeing. If you wondered, like, this pitcher, and you're going, my gosh, does he play football? Yes, he does, and he's a lineman, which we don't often see the pitcher lineman combo, but he is. Combo. I love that combo. He is, and I saw him this summer at Batter Up Baseball Camp, where he's a counselor, and people were like, that kid plays baseball? He's a monster. I mean, Chase is a big kid. So that line could definitely be anchored by those players, and so Montville's got a chance here with 12 starters coming back. So that's a game that I'm excited for.
And then we'll take the same wait-and-see approach with Thanksgiving. Always a lot of good choices, always some controversy when we choose one over the other, and I'm sure no different this year.
No, there's three huge games, right? Thanksgiving, you've got the oldest high school football rivalry in the world, New London and NFA, right? When you get reported on by the New York Times every day, every Thanksgiving, because you are that's a game that's always, no matter throw records out. I mean, you can't worry about records when you've got the oldest high school football rivalry, period. So that game is always in the mix. And it's always a good game, right? So that game's always been really competitive. But at the same time, I don't know that there's a better ECC rivalry across sports than Waterford East Lyme. So right there, and then the game that's meant the most over the past
it seems like
5 years.
Every season there's a playoff spot riding on the Fitch-Ledyard game for one team or the other, and a lot of times both.
Right. So, when I step back and I look at these three games, you've got one that is rooted in history, one that is rooted in rivalry, and one that is rooted in significance over the last few years. Any of those games is, something that we would like to do. The other thing we should mention, by the way, we talked about what games we do, what don't. If you've noticed games moving to Thursday, it's because there is an official shortage, so some games get moved off of Friday night to Thursday. So it's, sometimes scheduling conflicts with us as well, but assuming that all three of those games are on Thanksgiving morning, that's the big three.
Yeah, and we always try to put a little asterisk with the schedule saying that we may change things. That it happened last year where one game got moved from a Friday night to a Saturday morning, I think. We had another game. Sometimes there'll be a game that we put on the schedule where all of a sudden everybody is saying, hey, no, we want to watch something else. And so the things we try to balance, like you said, competitive games, trying to balance and get as many teams as possible, but also showing you the games that you want to watch. So I'm sure there's something on here for everybody to be unhappy about, but I think there's a lot of great stuff to see this year.
I do think you went to East Hartford High School on a Tuesday night to film highlights of Bacon Academy and Ram on the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. So the point being, like, if it's available, Peter will find you, whenever possible, even if you're not on the main live stream broadcast.
And the next night I went to stand in the rain and mud and snow maybe at Valley.
That's right. So, again, even if you're not on the schedule, send us the clips for the grade 8. Peter's going to try to find you. We still do highlights of other things. And this right here, this live content drop is going to be a weekly thing, hopefully more than once. Next week, Monday's a holiday, but next week, Tuesday, I will be debuting my first ever preseason ECC football power rankings. We're going to try to get Mike DeMoro to chip in with his top 10 coaches or writers poll teams for the state, but I'm going to be debuting my top 10 power rankings for the preseason of the ECC, and that is something that we will be updating all year long, weekly, the Casey's power rankings, and That'll be next week, and then we'll be doing some previews as we get into each of these games.
So I think that wraps up what we're doing. Thanks everyone for watching. It's fun to see the names that we recognize. We saw Casey doesn't have his glasses on, so he can't read the Instagram chats way over there on the monitor. But we love the feedback. We love to hear from you guys. Keep sending us the clips for the grade 8. That has been one of the most fun things because there's only a couple of us here working full-time on game day, so we rely on everyone else out there to help us cover those games that we can't get to. Athletes of the Future back on as a sponsor for grade 8, so get your free week of training down at AOF. Some new sponsors, some new spots coming on in the fall.
Really, really excited to have, I don't know if I should, I'm going to tease it. I'm not going to drop it yet, but I'm going to tease it. We will be doing a pregame show, and we have a new sponsor who's going to be coming in. And all I'm going to say is that there will be a fan contest with our sponsor of the pregame show towards choosing a game day item on their menu. So there's going to be a game day item on the menu that the fans will choose and help to create what is the game day. And who is that sponsor and what is that item? I'll let you know next week. But we have some new sponsors for the pregame show, new segments, keys to the game, things within the game, lots of new people coming on to support Game Day. And if you're interested in that, by the way, too, if you're interested in advertising or just being a part of the cool factor of Game Day, you can reach out to us and we'll take care of getting you involved in the Game Day family. Obviously, the more people that want to be involved with what we do, the happier we are as we continue and strive to bring you all the best in Eastern Connecticut and around the state when it comes to the clips in grade 8, the best we can in high school sports.
So that does it for us. We're going to sign off, and we will